there was Eru, the one, who in Arda is called a Luvatar. And he made first the Ainur, the holy ones, that they were the offspring of his thought, that they were with him before aught else was made. And he spoke to them, propounding to them themes of music, and they sang before him, and he was glad. For a long time they sang, only each one alone, but a few together, while the rest hearkened. For each comprehended only that part of the mind of a Luvatar from which he came, and in the understanding of their brethren they grew but slowly. Yet even as they listened, they came to deeper understanding and increased in unison and harmony. And it came to pass that Iluvatar called together all the Ainur and declared to them a mighty theme, unfolding to them things greater and more wonderful than he had yet revealed. And the glory of his beginning and the splendor of its end amazed the Ainur, so that they bowed before Iluvatar and were silent. Then Iluvatar said to them, of the theme that I have declared to you, I will now that ye make in harmony together a great music. And since I have kindled you with the flame imperishable, ye shall show forth your powers in adorning this theme, each with his own thoughts and devices, if he will. But I will sit and hearken, and be glad that through you great beauty has been wakened into song. So you see, Iluvatar starts singing, creates the Ainur, and creates the Ainur so that they can take the song and continue to develop the song. And so in that way, in a sense, glory is multiplied and strengthened and greatened. The voice of the Ainur, like unto harps and lutes and pipes and trumpets and viols and organs and the like, unto countless choirs singing with words, began to fashion the theme of Iluvatar to great music, and a sound arose of endless interchanging melodies woven into harmony that passed beyond hearing into the depths and into the heights, and the places of the dwelling of Iluvatar were filled to overflowing. Then the music and the echo of the music went out into the void, and it was not void. Never since have the Ainur made any music like this music, though it has been said that the great still shall be made before Iluvatar by the choirs of the Ainur and the children of Iluvatar after the end of days. Then the themes of Iluvatar shall be played aright and take being in the moment of their utterance, for all shall then understand fully his intent in their part, and each shall know the comprehension of each, and Iluvatar shall give to their thought the secret fire, being well pleased. But now Iluvatar sat and hearkened, and for a great while it seemed good to him, for in the music there were no flaws. But as the theme progressed, it came into the heart of Melkor to interweave matters of his own imagining that were not in accord with the theme of Iluvatar. For he sought therein to increase the power and the glory of the parts assigned to himself. To Melkor, along with Ainur, had been given the greatest of gifts of power and knowledge, and he had a share in all the gifts of his brethren. He had gone often alone into the void, seeking the imperishable flame, for desire grew hot within him to bring into being things of his own. And it seemed to him that Iluvatar took no thought for the void, and he was impatient of its emptiness. Yet he found not the fire, for it is with Iluvatar. But being alone, he had begun to conceive thoughts of his own, unlike those of his brethren. Some of these thoughts he now wove into his music, and straightway discord arose about him. And many that sang nigh him grew despondent, and their thought was disturbed, and their music faltered. But some began to attune the music to his rather than to the thought which they had at first. This, you can see their fall in terms of the music now. The discord of Melkor spread even wider, and the melodies, which had been heard before, foundered in a sea of turbulent sound. But Iluvatar sat and hearkened unto it. Seemed that about his throne there was a raging storm, as of dark waters that made war one upon another in an endless wrath that would not be assuaged. Then Iluvatar rose, and the Ainur perceived that he smiled, and he lifted up his left hand. And a new theme began amid the storm, like and yet unlike the former theme, and it gathered power and it had new beauty. But the discord of Melkor rose in uproar and contended with it. And again there was war of sound more violent than before, until many of the Ainur were dismayed and sang no longer, and Melkor had the mastery. Then again Iluvatar rose, and the Ainur perceived that his countenance was stern, and he lifted up his right hand, and behold, a third theme grew amid the confusion, and it was unlike the others. For it seemed at first soft and sweet, a mere rippling of gentle sounds in delicate melodies, but it could not be quenched. And it took to itself power and profundity. And it seemed at last that there were two musics progressing at one time before the seat of Iluvatar, and they were utterly at variance. The one was deep and wide and beautiful, but slow and blended with immeasurable sorrow, from which its beauty chiefly came. You can think of C.S. Lewis and his Sensuch. The other had now achieved a unity of its own, but it was loud and vain and endlessly repeated, and it had little harmony, but rather a clamorous unison as of many trumpets braying upon a few notes. And it essayed to drown the other music by the violence of its voice. But it seemed that its most triumphant notes were taken from the other and woven into its own solemn pattern. In the midst of this strife, whereat the halls of Iluvatar shook, and a tremor ran out into silence yet unmoved, Iluvatar rose a third time, and his face was terrible to behold. Then he raised up both hands, and in one chord, deeper than the abyss, higher than the firmament, piercing as the light of the eye of Iluvatar, the music ceased. Then Iluvatar spoke, and he said, "Mighty are the Ainur, and the mightiest among them is Melkor. But that he may know, and all the Ainur, that I am Iluvatar. Those things that ye have sung, I will show them forth, that ye may see what ye have done. And thou, Melkor, shall see that no theme may be played that hath not its uttermost source in me, nor can any alter the music in my despite. For he had attempteth this shall prove but mine instrument in the devising of things more wonderful, which he himself hath not imagined."